when you struggle with whatever it might be, it's just make it to the end of the day, make it to the weekend, look forward to that vacation, that next raise, that next promotion. Things will be better when. I always have the same mindset.
Welcome to Monday Mornings with Michelle, the new business podcast. Whether you're kicking off your day or kickstarting your business, Michelle is going to kick your ass into next week with the essential fours: strategy, systems, support, and state of mind. Now, welcome to center stage, Michelle Nedelec.
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I am super glad that you're here with us today because I am here with my most amazing guest, Deepak. Deepak, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate being here.
Excellent. We're going to have some fun. So give us a 5,000-foot view of who you are, what you love to do.
Yeah, well, I am a professional coach, performance coach, and I love helping my clients so that they can be better versions of themselves, so that can translate to their sphere of influence, whether that be their family, their employees, their community in general.
Love it. So how'd you get into that, performance in particular?
Oh, long story. I'll give you the brief version. So I'm a CPA. I'm an accountant by profession.
Mm-hmm.
Worked in corporate world for 20 plus years. I went through I always struggled with some health challenges, right since I was a little kid. But about 8 years ago, it really came to a crest with not only my autoimmune condition, but I also injured my back. So I couldn't do anything. I had no flexion. I couldn't bend over, couldn't tie my shoes. Hard getting, off and on the toilet. But the real thing was my youngest daughter was a baby at the time. I couldn't even pick her up. I couldn't pick up a 10-pound baby out of her crib. So that was so in my journey to heal myself, I came across a lot of things, a lot of self-development, and in healing my back, cleared up mostly my autoimmune condition. The last 60 pounds of weight that I had been holding on to for years. I was well over 100 pounds more than I was now at my heaviest, but that last 60 pounds all melted away just by trying to heal my back and the strategies to heal my back. So people started asking me, like, how'd you do it? Can I take you for coffee? What's going on? And the more I started, just trying to informally help people, I've realized I like this a lot more than being an accountant. So yeah, about 6 years ago,
I was going to say that's quite the stretch to go from an accountant.
Oh, it is.
Development.
So about 6 years ago, I kind of started doing this as, sort of a, side hustle, we call it, evenings and weekends, lunch hours, etc. And been doing it full time now for a couple of years now. So
nice. I love it. So performance coach, even from, it sounds like the health side of things, how did it twist into the performance angle?
No, great question. So I started working with people who are like me. So back injury, weight loss, etc. The kind of around those things, maybe a little bit on the autoimmune stuff. As I've evolved myself as a person. So let me take a step back. When you struggle, and many people can probably relate to this, when you struggle with whatever it might be, it's just make it to the end of the day, make it to the weekend, look forward to that vacation, that next raise, that next promotion. Things will be better when. I always have the same mindset. Once I came through my health journey and realized, why did I think that way? There's so much opportunity for me. Now, nobody has to have the same mindset that I do, but I'm planning to be a centenarian plus. I want to live to 100 plus. And so all my decisions lead me to that goal. So as I expanded my philosophy, my mindset, if you will, my program and what I work with people changed. So when I say performance coach, that could mean everyone's going to have their own take on that. But basically people who want, to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. They want longevity. Not necessarily they want to be centenarians, pluses like me, but they want to, be as healthy right till the end days, right till 85, 90, 95, whatever it might be. So I help people in all aspects of their life, and that's what I mean by performance.
Nice. I love that. So when you're working with somebody, what does that look like? What does it entail? Are you looking at food? Are you looking at behaviors? What do you...
Yeah, so it's very all-encompassing. So I work with people one-on-one. It's very high touch point, very individualized. So health, is very individualized to people. So I take a very customized approach. So there's 7 big buckets that
Mm-hmm.
I look at. So mindset and motivation is number one. We start with that always. Everyone starts with that. There's movement, which incorporates both cardio, strength training, anything movement. Glycemic variable control, which is kind of the nutrition piece, controlling your glycemic variability. There's environmental things we look at. We look at water, we look at air, we look at even a risk profile of like, these are the things you like to do. Maybe I'll just give an example. It's riding a motorbike. Okay, well, is that the best thing for your health goals? And if it's a non-negotiable, that's fine. How can you make it safer? How can we, mitigate any risks that might come? And that also goes with, the work that people do, relationships that people are in, etc. And then for those, and that's not for everyone, not all my clients go this way, but for those who really want to push the envelope, that really want that longevity piece, there's tons of new science, there's tons of new technology that's out there that's available for people. That's not your standard of care. Some people call it biohacking, some people call it health optimization, but pushing that envelope with new technologies, devices, supplements, etc. And that's sort of the last piece.
Very cool. So you said movement, and I'm going, what? Like just moving my mouse and being on Zoom all day isn't not quite enough.
Again, it's very individualized, so that's probably not enough for most
Probably
people.
not.
But again, not everyone has to go run a marathon or do a triathlon. And actually, depending on people's situation, I would discourage that. But we do need people. Humans were meant to move, right? To be constant movement, and maybe that just means walking for somebody.
Very cool. So I know when I did my own kind of health challenge once upon a time, and I looked at it and went, I want to do a marathon, I want to do a bodybuilding competition, and I started studying food and how it works and all that kind of fun jazz. And I kind of realized that there were 3 main, what I called at the time, outlooks towards food. One was a Victoria's Secret, just don't eat anything, and kind of I'm like, no, that's so not going to work. The other one was a lot of marathoners I found were vegans and kind of the whole food and nutrition kind of aspect of things. And a lot of the bodybuilders, although still whole food, but obviously in building up the bulk, we're doing a lot of starch, a lot of protein, and then cycling, carb cycling to be able to kind of go with ups and downs. What is your philosophy on those? Because I know that 2 of those 3 especially do not fit into the whole Centurion outlook.
So yeah,
but
so
talk to us about that.
you said 3 scenarios, and those are 3 different goals, very completely different goals. So again, it depends what the person's goal is, right? So someone's goal could be, I just want to be healthier and I want to run a marathon. Or I want to be healthier, I want to be the fun grandma, I want to see my great grandkids, and I want to live to 95. And I want to run a marathon. Well, which goal is more important? Because maybe running a marathon and train for that might not. If that's what you want to do, great, we'll work with it. But that might not be the goal to reach your bigger overarching goal. So to answer your question, I know it's going to sound like a cop-out, but it really depends individually what people's goals are. If you want to be rail thin, Victoria's Secret type of thing, person, okay, you can do that. I don't typically tend to work with those type of people. If you want to be, a bodybuilder versus, a triathlete or a marathoner, those are completely different goals. So the way you're going to approach eating is going to be totally different. But what I will say as a general philosophy, eat real food. That's, I can't stress that enough. Eat real food, get off the unprocessed stuff. There's a lot of, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole unless you want to, but
yeah, sure,
but between the vegans and maybe the keto or the or carnivore, which has become popular, etc. And they seem like extremes, but maybe only at the bell curve at the edges, but in the middle, it's eat real food. There's so many similarities between or paleo or whatever have you. There's a ton of similarities, and it's just the little edges that people get cranky about, right?
that is a motif for life, if you want to put it that way.
Good point. Exactly.
If only. Awesome. So what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making when it comes to like setting their goals and achieving them?
Yeah. So again, I work with I kind of have 2 main groups that I work with. So sort of, let's call it senior executives, corporate role type of thing, and then entrepreneurs. They're successful entrepreneurs, they have their own businesses, usually have a decent size. I have had clients that have, 5,000 people in their company, or under them in their sphere. So I think the number one thing is, what I find with these two groups is that, again, they tend to be not always, but maybe skewed to like, what we call A-type personalities. They're hard chargers. I'm going to get stuff done. I'm crushing my business goals. I'm doing this. I'm going for the next promotion. I'm building my business, whatever it is. And they put, and in that I see two things. Either one, they're so focused on the financial, building their business, etc., that they know health is important. Don't get me wrong, they know health's important, but they put it secondary. Once I get this, once I get that next level, once I reach whatever the thing may be. Or because they're so A-type in their business and work, they're also so A-type in their pursuit of the marathon, the triathlon, that they actually overtrain. They burn themselves out. I see that a ton, and I have to like dial these people back. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Well, I do this and this. I'm crushing it, but I don't really sleep, and my relationships are kind of because I'm so busy. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, because I'm spending 5 hours at the gym a day. It's like, and I only sleep 3 hours. It's like, okay, is this what you want? Is this like your long term? Because like, if you're not sleeping, I'll just use sleep as an example. If you're not sleeping well and you're cranky and your employees think you're a dick, but yeah, you're crushing, you're making your objectives, you're meeting your goals, but is that really what you want out of your life? What do you want out of your company? Or do you have high turnover and that sometimes comes down to, inflammation and what you're eating, and because you're overtraining, and that sort of thing. So I really got to look at people where they're at and what their goals are, and then we got to figure it out.
Nice. Love that. So when you're working with people and you're looking at kind of all of these areas, is there kind of a stack that people want to look at? Like, hey, this is a foundation, you need this, and then, or is it kind of cyclical of we're going to work on a little bit of this and a little bit of that and then get more and more?
Great question. So I like to start with, again, sort of the mindset and motivation, because I think that's the driver for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make nutritional changes or anything else if you don't have it right up here. So that's the very first thing we work on. Excuse me. Regardless of what people are coming with or how they think their nutrition is, or whether they have weight to lose or not, that doesn't even matter. I like to have, and I'm not like a calorie counter type of coach or anything like that, but I do like to get a snapshot of a person's what they eat. So I do ask my clients to do just a 2-week log. So it's not overly burdensome or anything. I just want an idea so we can make some tweaks, maybe some easy wins. So while they're doing that 2 weeks log, I don't even want to talk about nutrition until that log is done. We focus on mindset. Now, that doesn't mean mindset goes away then. That's something that's comes in all the time. But again, it also depends what people's goals are. Again, maybe nutrition, we need to focus on that next. And maybe we're gonna focus on it for the whole time we're working together because maybe they're struggling. Maybe the exercise piece or the movement piece is the next thing we work on. Maybe it's other things. So it's really dependent. So again, I have this sort of framework that I work with, but it really depends on what the person needs at the moment. And that could change session to session as well.
Love that. So give us an example of one of your Cinderella stories.
Yeah, I have one client, past client, he was really kind of first came to me because he was intrigued with like that longevity piece, maybe that biohacking, that's a term that's been thrown around in the media for, a couple of years now. What's that all about? About the same age as me. He was a C-suite executive in this particular case, young guy, young family, thought he was doing all the right things, crushing it. Again, that A-type personality. So once we got working together, and he had some sleep apnea, was on some medications, but otherwise thinking he's doing a fantastic job, and he's crushing it at work and whatnot. So we started working together. One, you're overtraining. Like, what are you trying to do here? Like, are you planning to do a race, a marathon, climb Mount Everest? No, I just want to be, healthy and have a good physique. It's like, okay, you have a good physique. You don't need to train that much. You're killing yourself. You're putting too much inflammation, too much stress on your body because you're overdoing it. So we dial that back. Look at his nutrition. It's like, okay, it's okay, but let's make some small tweaks. And again, that wasn't working with his wife because she did the primary cooking in the household for dinners and whatnot. And then, what he's going to eat out when he's at the office or what have you. Let's make some just small tweaks, make a few substitutions so that you don't have to drastically cut anything or make major life changes. Just tweak a few things so that you're eating healthier and you're bringing down inflammation with you. So that's what he mostly came with, what he wanted to work on. Through working on some breath work, again, the nutritional piece, bringing inflammation down, we were able to get him off a CPAP machine. So that was wonderful. That was fantastic. But at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, of all the things we worked on, and this wasn't a stated goal. I mean, we certainly worked on it during our time together, but it was never his primary focus. But at the end of the day, when we kind of did our outtake as he graduated the program, he said the number one thing was, you helped me with my relationships. Just challenging him with, as we dig into things, that why he had certain behaviors, some thought patterns, as we dug into them. But I'm not a therapist or anything like that, I'll just be clear with that, but just challenging with some thought-provoking questions. We dug in and asked some more questions, and he had some resentment towards his parents, and so he worked on those. So the relationship with his parents improved a lot, just talking about things like, hey, when this happened when I was younger, like, why, this is how I perceived it, and et cetera. And then a byproduct of that also was just working on the relationship with his wife, which he was very committed to as well. So at the end of the day, he's like, this is the number one thing he helped me with, was my relationships, which was nothing that we talked about in the intake or the first couple months that we worked together. So I thought that was amazing.
Nice. I love that. And I was going to say, it is interesting. I find the dynamics change when you start including spouses or business partners, or like people that are extended, but obviously have a serious connection to somebody's success. How do you tend to deal with that if, say, the partners or whatever, if somebody says to you, I don't think my partner is going to be receptive to that, I don't think my whatever, if there's the individual has resistance towards it before you even had a chance to talk to the.
Yeah, great question. So when I'm talking with like individual clients, again, especially more on the health side, try and get buy-in right away. So like, in the intake, in just using this example that I just shared, like, who does most? Okay, my wife does. Okay, have you shared that you want to be healthy, or these goals? That might include also having her or him be part of the first couple conversations, or maybe bring them in up to speed. I haven't had too many issues with people, once they share, they want to change things, and I want to have a little bit more broccoli than potato, or can we buy, the keto crackers instead of the whole wheat glyphosate crackers, or, whatever.
Do they market them that way? The glyphosate crackers.
I don't think they do. I think that'd be bad for business, but just making these small changes, again, just to move the dial a little bit. It's usually not that much resistance. Just using like coconut oil or real olive oil as opposed to margarine, or or some seed oil, or something like some small things. When it comes to like in partnerships in business, hopefully, whether it be our spouse or our business partner, or even maybe a sponsor or our boss or something, hopefully everyone's actually wants the best for us, wants, has their best intentions. So just being open with those people, like, hey, I'm trying this. Maybe, we don't bring donuts in every Friday for the staff because I can't not grab one. Or maybe you don't bring in donuts. Can we try bringing in a fruit platter? Or let's bring in a healthy breakfast. Like, maybe a well-rounded. I mean, there's some fruit, there's some eggs, there's some bacon, maybe there's hash brown, whatever, instead of just donuts. And just have that conversation with your partner, your business partner, or maybe with your spouse, or whatever that looks like. Hey, we always eat this on Sunday mornings. Can we try this instead? And just have that conversation. And I'm going to help them facilitate what that might look like. Maybe that's role playing with them. How would you have that conversation with your business partner or your spouse, or what have you? So
I love that. That's awesome. So what are some of the stumbling blocks that somebody listening might be having right now, and they're thinking, oh my God, Deepak, I need you so badly?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of people, so I live here in Canada. I work with people all over. I work with a lot of Americans. A couple of things I find that people, I'm going to generalize a bit here and say mostly Canadians, I think, well, I pay my taxes, I will just go to the doctor. I'll wait 7 months to take a test because that's what the system will let me do, or what have you. So I think it's the mindset. It's, have a growth mindset, have an expansion mindset, not a scarcity mindset. Go, like, it's $100, go get that test done. And I'm big about, quantifying and that sort of thing for myself personally and for my clients. So I'll encourage them, maybe you have to go get a lab test from the States, or wherever that may be, maybe it's for Australia, whatever. get things done. So just getting that mindset around like you are in charge of your health, not the government, not your wife, not your mom and dad, because they told you something, you're a kid and you're still holding on to this. So just empower them to just have the right mindset so they can make decisions and go forward for what they actually want, what their intended goals are. So I find so often people say they want this, but then they put all these barriers, this all just self-talk from themselves in front of actually achieving their goal. I've seen it in business, see it certainly in health. So that's number one, is sort of that mindset. And then number two, we've been bombarded for the last 60 years, 70 years with, in my opinion, flawed nutritional advice. It was bad science then, it's been disproven now, and it's just part of the lexicon of our society, and we're still going with it. So I just try and like break some of these myths apart, and people like to educate people, so they say that is not actually true. Like here's the science, here's the data from the last 10 years, showing this, like, will you at least try it? Just try it. I'm not going to, I don't put a gun to anybody's head, right? But will you at least try this and see how you feel? Maybe making this one change will help you sleep better. Maybe it'll, help your sex life. Maybe it'll, whatever.
Well, I'm sure if you said that, everybody
clearly.
try.
Well, it's interesting, like, inflammation, comes in many forms, obviously, but, a lot of inflammation can, affect, particularly men, down there. So, if you want better sex, clean up a lot of things in your life, so in your environment.
Well, there you go. So I know somebody listening to this just going, yeah, okay, now I need you on speed dial. They're going to want more from you. How did they start their journey with you?
Yeah, so it always starts with, just to see if we're a good fit, right? So, have a free consult, a little discussion. What are your goals are, what are you committed to doing, not only from a financial point of view, but also from like, actually achieving these things, these goals that your goals that we're going to work set together, but then those milestones, and not have those barriers come in. You say you want this, but then 3 months later you haven't done anything. So I try and, have that conversation up front so we don't run into a logjam. I want my clients to be successful. I want to work with successful people. So just have that conversation up front. And if we're a match, we think we're going to work together well. And if we're not, that's great too. I can refer you to my, huge Rolodeck of other coaches and referrals of therapists and what have you. And then if it works, we go forward. And my program is a year-long program, because you can't do health in 12 weeks. You can't do health in 21 days. I find for lasting change, both from the mindset and the physical, it takes some time to go through all those 7 buckets again. So again, I tend to work with clients for a year or longer.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will have your links and show notes in the show notes. We'll have your links in the show notes. And of course, people can go to awarenessstrategies.com/blog and look for Deepak or coaching and performance, and you'll find Deepak's show. Awesome. And is there anything else that you wanted to let them know? Any freebies, anything like that? We like freebies.
Well, again, it'll be in the show notes. I'd encourage people, check me out, check out some of my posts. I'll just maybe tease it. So this probably won't come out for a little bit here, but I'm just actually overcoming the first time I've been sick in 8 years. So I mentioned earlier, 8 years ago, when I had that back challenge and my autoimmune condition and everything, in healing, as I mentioned earlier, is in healing my back, losing the weight, clearing up my autoimmune condition, I have not had a cold of any sort of significance or anything in 8 years, and I just am overcoming it. Maybe it was COVID. I don't even know. I didn't test myself. It could have been COVID. I have no idea. But I have broken it down in a series of articles of actually what I believe resulted in it. Again, inflammation, as I mentioned a few times in our conversation. So I would just encourage people, check me out, see what I'm doing on posts, you'll get a feel for me, and they'll give you a feel of, if I'm somebody you want to work with.
I love it. So I have to ask you, signature question. At what point in life did you know that you were special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
That is a good question. I mean, we all have our imposter syndrome still, even 5-6 years into my business now sometimes. But I think when it really hit for me, like I started my business, I started helping people. Like I said, earlier in the story, I enjoyed that more than being an accountant. But I think when I first really got those first couple of clients who like had real dramatic results, Again, those early clients were like weight loss and back pain and stuff. And they're like, oh my God, like, like I've lost, I'm trying to think. One particular was 64-year-old grandma who just wanted to be the fun, cool grandma who could do stuff with her grandkids. She lost 34 pounds in like 6 months that we're working together, and just like, oh my God, I went on the bike ride for the first time in years. And it's those stories that just like, yes, I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing.
Oh, I love that. That is awesome. Deepak, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. I know how valuable it is. Any last words for our peeps?
Michelle, I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to engaging with any of your audience who might want to reach out to me, whether we work together or not. Happy to talk to people about their health and their longevity.
Nice. I love it. Well, and you can probably go to the Facebook group and actually chat with Deepak, or just go find him and go and chat with him. Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedlock. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and join our Facebook group, Business Ownership Secrets to Scaling. We'd love to connect with you. Thank you for listening to our show. I'm all about being a resource center for entrepreneurs to give them the information and the support that they need to make it in business. As such, the notes for this show can be found at our website at awarenessstrategies.com/blog. Be sure to subscribe, give us a rating. I like 5 stars personally, and share with your friends.